Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe Intel. I'm hanging out in Los Angeles for the Writer of the Future Awards. We were doing the writers, authors, and illustrators for Writers of the Future. I got to say, it's been a great bunch of people. I'm quite impressed with how everyone is working with each other. Very friendly. Like when I got here, I was kind of thinking, well, all these people are competing with each other. There might be some nastiness. I haven't seen that anyway. Not with the staff, not with the authors, not with the writers, not with anybody, not with the illustrators. Everybody seems to be trying to help each other out and go along. So that was quite a thing. So, Eric, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm Eric Lind, writer. I have a handful of novels out and available, and I write a lot of short stories. And was been writing since 2010. Various, like I said, novels, short stories, um, and then I won the Writers of the Future contest, and
Yeah,
very
yeah,
exciting. It was kind of the biggest thing I've accomplished so far in my writing career.
it's
I
a big
feel,
thing.
other than the initial, finishing books and things like that, it's also a big deal. But um, yeah, so
So it's
it's
two
been a great.
questions. First off, what made you want to write, or what was it that drove you? I mean, I know a lot. I've heard a lot of different reasons why people got into writing over the last 2 days. So what was it for you? I mean, first question is, what made you think you could write in the first place?
So when I was much younger, I hated reading. In grade school, I was good at it. I was in the highest reading groups, but it's schoolwork. I didn't, at home, I didn't do that. And then I discovered choose your own adventure books, which was a lot of fun, and I kind of got into that, and I started reading constantly for a couple of years, mainly those books. Then I shifted to older books and started reading mostly fantasy, the big doorstop books. And I got to the point where I was reading about a book a day in some cases, and I don't know what happened. I just sort of clicked into it, and it was sometime around 13, 14 years old where I said, I'm going to be a writer. It wasn't really a decision. It was more of just a realization that it was going to happen. And I just needed to start. But right now I was reading, I was learning. And I just always knew, even in college days, I wasn't writing at that time, but I knew I would. And I'd make little notes and I'd write little stories, but I wouldn't do anything with them. But I knew, someday I'm going to be an author. And it was just sort of an inevitable feeling I had. Um, and so, yeah, it's really hard to say what made it happen. It just sort of became inevitable at some point.
So, are you looking to get with like a publishing house, or you want to stay independent, or
Um,
freelancing? I guess.
well, I've had some success with an independent, and I like how I have the control. I can do what I want. I have a lot more flexibility. I can write what I want. I have sold to publishing houses in the past, and things it didn't go the way I wanted it to go.
Yeah, because they want to change it.
Right, exactly. They wanted to do all sorts of changes, and I had to fight to get my rights back, things like that. And I talked to agents, and they were like, "Oh, we love your writing. You're a great writer, but horror doesn't sell. I want you to rewrite this book,
There's always
completely
a but.
nonfiction type feeling." And yeah, and I just it was like, oh, I don't know if I want to go through all this. And then when the independent revolution kind of came around, 2010, 2011, I just kind of went with it.
I mean,
Um,
you get self-publishing on Amazon and other places besides that. Are you self-publishing on Amazon?
yeah, I'm on Amazon, Kobo, all sorts of places.
So,
Apple.
artwork, are you doing it yourself? Or are you bringing somebody in? Or
I tried.
look, I can't even draw a stick person. So
No,
you're
I'm horrible at it. So I eventually took the inevitable, and I do hire out for covers, things like that.
I'll tell you a little secret that's not well known in the industry or in the art and writer right now, so it's in the illustration industry. So a lot of people pay to get their artwork done, but a lot of the writers now give a commission. So they say, look, the book's looking like it's going to sell. I'll give you 2, 5, or 10%. I'll give you X amount down, and I'll give you 2, 5, or 10% of the book. Now, I've seen quite a few illustrators take it. And a good friend of mine, she did it just recently on a book that I swore wasn't going to sell. She made $2.2 million.
Wow.
She was stunned, by the way. I mean, she figured she might make $200, $300, $400. This was like a not known artist at all. The author had published in England, and the book started moving, and all of a sudden it went viral underneath. It never made the top sellers list, but it sold, I think, 3 or 4 million copies. And I try to get this across to all authors. Authors, especially in the United States, think too small. The United States is great, 320 million people, but our show reaches everybody. we go out to all 200 countries. So that's 7.5 billion people you can sell to. Right now, China, unfortunately, it's illegal, so it's hard to get them in there. But they'll buy them. If they can get their hands on them, they'll buy them up. Boom, boom, boom. India is big into it right now. They're buying a lot of sci-fi, especially sci-fi that maybe shows a better future. They're buying up certain horror. They're really buying up. Europe is buying up a lot. Russia, which is going to become our number one venue pretty soon. America's number one right now, but pretty soon it's going to be Russia, China, India, United States. That's how fast it's growing over there. In China, we're allowed because we were in Hong Kong when they took it back, and we don't talk about Xi Jinping, so they're fine with it. So they're allowing us to stay. So we have authors selling books over there. They get them through us or through another medium to the United States, and they have them shipped over. And as long as the government don't catch them, it's fine. They don't care. But I know three Chinese authors that left because they were going to jail for writing paranormal. There was a young lady who was in the Times just recently. She was going to do 10 years. She ran. She'd already been, they were getting ready to come pick her up and put her in, and she hauled as fast as she could. And she's hoping it's going to change over there. But I'm not really sure why China's so anti-paranormal, especially since they leave us over there. I think part of it is when we used to be UFO Paranormal Radio, they might not let us stay. And since we changed it to United Public, and that's just one of our venues on the network, they let us stay. They have complained a few times about it, but they're not. For them, they just don't want me talking about their government.
Right.
So we can talk about atrocities. We've talked about Wuhan. We have been slapped a couple times for Wuhan and stuff, but they don't want to put us out because this allows their people to get what they're looking for without them having to start their own shows or what their own things. So we're serving a purpose, and it allows China to come down on the people who are trying there to get them paranormal. They'll just be like, well, you can go listen to this station right here. And I've actually had two people in the government over there tell me that. Oh no, we just tell them to listen to y'all. Because if people want to write, it's a big country with a lot of people in it, and I imagine you get pretty good sci-fi writers over there. But unfortunately, they don't want it now. I'll tell you what recently became a big market was Japan. They eat freaking anything paranormal, especially if it's coming from the United States. They just love it. It's like freaking candy over there. I got a couple of author friends of mine who actually moved to Japan to write, and all of them currently are millionaires. All of them. Wow. They got over there, started writing. I remember when Gene called me. He goes, "Well, I may have screwed up, Joe." He said, "I've published 3 novels now, and I got zip, not even one sold." And he did some local Japanese television show. He doesn't speak any Japanese. And they were translating for him. The next day, he sold 1 million books. 2 days after that, he sold 3 million books. Wow. He was stunned. And he's selling them at $33 a book. I was going to do a hard copy. So I was like, oh my God. I said, man, I'm coming to live with you. He said, I'm a millionaire. And this guy came. He came from a poor family. He was poor to start off with. He had to scrape and save. He sold everything he had to get over to Japan because he thought, and he was right. The other two are both millionaires as well now.
Well, translators in Japan are also a name. They have a star power in themselves. And if you get the right translator, you can definitely get.
And so they started doing the circuit in Japan, and they're all doing well now. And for some reason, they like American writers. They like American artists. Just like when we kids, we grew up on the big-eyed, Japanese cartoons and stuff like that. Or Japan has a different style of artists than we do. When they make all their people look like Americans with big eyes. I never figured that one out. It always confused me. I'm like, I guess it's because we took their country over and kind of Americanized it down the line. They're not slanted-eyed. They don't have the traditional Japanese features in their face. It's always American features. And it sells better for some reason. It sells good here. It sells good over there. So I was just surprised that they've all done that well. And he keeps telling me, he said, anything, Joe, send it here. And he was cracking up the other day because he was in Tokyo and he heard us on the air on a local radio station down there. That had just picked us up recently. They had contacted me and picked us up. It's an overlay, is what they call them. So they're listening to us regularly over there now. We push a lot of paranormal. About half our stuff is paranormal. Ufology, paranormal. I hate using paranormal is such a junk term because there's so much stuff that gets shoved underneath it. So we do horror, we do ufology, we do all kinds of sci-fi. But for some reason, it all gets lumped into paranormal. But we got a lot of different sci-fi going on, and they love sci-fi over there. I mean, it's just like candy for them. In their country, they estimate that 2/3 of their population likes sci-fi. In the United States, it's 1/3. Wow. And I think the difference is because our medias are kind of iffy-skiffy about pushing anything. when something does get pushed, it does well. But NBC, ABC, CBS, they're not interested in that. They don't want to hear about that. They don't really care unless you're somebody. They're not even interested. And you can't be anybody until somebody interested in you. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of a catch-22. What the hell are you going to do?
Chicken the egg.
But anyway, so you're doing you're a good author. You got to be decent if you want. First time you submitted, or a couple of times, or
For this contest, I submitted twice. The first time I was honorable mention, and then this time I won.
damn, this has been a good group. You know, with the artists, 6 of them are first times. I was floored. I mean, and there's been 2 first-time winners in the writers. I was like, wow. So that's good. 2's good too, because one of my friends, I should call him a friend, but one of our regular guests, Preston Dent, he was on 44 or 46 times before he won.
Yeah, several people have gone for a long time, and
I can understand it. It's kind of crazy. So where you plan on going? I mean, let me ask you this: what's your goal over the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, I want to do a lot more short fiction, what I won for here. Do a lot more of that, get out a lot of the bigger markets, really push for that. I also want to continue writing novels and for the most part go indie. I'm not opposed to going to more traditional, but I can get in Japan really easily independent. I can go to all the countries independently, and I can't translate as easily. That costs a lot of money, but getting the English versions at least, it's really easy to do. So it's kind of my plan is to build IP, build up a backlist and to see where it takes me.
I'll have to ask Glenn where he has his books translated in 9 countries, and he said it's not that expensive.
Really, that would be interesting.
So what he does is he does it by a pre-order. I'll find out. So when I see y'all maybe in December, January, I'll have an answer for you. But he told me about this. He said I really want to get in other countries, so he's looking all over the place, and he found somebody in the UK who does it, and they do it by order. So how many other books are ordered? They just go ahead and translate them and send them out. Then, of course, the more that's done, the cheaper they are. But he said, really, for a regular book, he said it was less than like 20 cents a book to have them translated here. I was like, really? He said, there's a regular book fees for making the book. He said, but the translation, he says, basically what they're doing is they're just reprinting the book with a different language. So it's just not that expensive. I was surprised because I was under the impression that it's quite expensive. Because I know I have people on certain shows I had put it just into text. And it cost me $500 or $600 to have somebody take a 2-hour show and put it into text. And do it right, So, because every now and then I'll get. Actually, I just had some recent stuff done in Braille. That was a little more expensive side, but I was selling the archive at $75 a piece. It was about $35 a piece to have them put in the Braille. They were eating it like candy. It's just certain things go good, and you can't see, you can't hear. It's good to have those kind of things. But now I notice a lot of the programs we use give you the option for like scrolling text underneath. So if you've got it's an audio, and then there's always Microsoft Samantha and Microsoft Sam, which will translate word into audio. So that's always nice. That's free. It doesn't cost anything.
I've explored that.
Yeah, and there's actually better ones now. Those are kind of old school. There's actually better ones out there now. So there's always those menus. Of course, there's a lot of other stuff going on. So you got to be careful out there because if people can get hold of something. That's why I'm always a little worried when we're talking about selling in Japan or India places because their laws are the same here. So if somebody grabs one of your books and really likes it and decides to republish it, I don't know what your options are. Indian government might not do anything. You'd have to probably go to the American embassy and get with them to get them out there. And really, when you start talking about that, you start talking about losing a lot of money. I know India's changing its laws to protect American authors, but it's still in China. You'll get them in China, but it's 50-50 if you get paid for them. So I always tell people anything to do with China, pre-order, they can pay in advance. That way you got your money ahead of time. There's a lot of little things like that. And when you're doing audio, when you're doing like TV shows or radio shows, the best advice I can give you is don't give away the plot. Get a teaser in your head. I tell everybody the same thing. Go through your book, find a teaser that gets people interested but doesn't give any damn thing away. Because I have famous authors come on and get a whole book away. I had a really famous guy just recently, I'm going to mention his name. He comes on, he starts talking about everything. I'm like, shut up. And we're friends. That's why I can tell him shut up. He's like, Joe, that's rude. I said, dude, you're giving a book away. Stop it. Nobody's going to buy the damn thing. It's like one of them trailers you watch that you know you don't want to go see the movie after you watch the trailer. It's the same damn thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't do it. I said, I said, a really good teaser will get you interested. It's like it's like a hot woman in a bikini or a hot woman in nice clothes. You know, it's a different way you look at them. And I said, it's the same thing. I said, so set up a teaser, find some. You can do, and if it's a big book, you can do 1 or 2 or 3. You know, it depends how large the novel actually is.
Right.
Or if it's a short story, you might want to go a certain way, but a good teaser will really get people interested in your book. It's just, I just noticed a lot of authors, they get kind of overwhelmed and they want to sell books. So you think, the more I talk, the more books I'm going to sell. That's not true. The less you talk about it. So what happens when I invite you over, the first beginning of the show, I'm going to tell you, plug your book, just plug away. And we're going to talk about you for about an hour. And then when we go to break and we come back, I'm going to have you give a good teaser. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about the book and where you can purchase it, where you can find it. And then we're going to talk about some other stuff. And then at the end, we'll let you plug it again. And those plugs stay in there for life. Our archives stay in for life. Right now I have 50,000 archives available. So that's about 140,000 hours of archives. We produce 240 hours every week of archives. And so, we put out a lot of material. And that's one of the reasons we have an audience the size we do, because there's so much material to find. So, and we cheat. We're on 150 archive sites and 120, 140 live servers. So when you got that much out there, it doesn't matter if it's even 500 hits per server. 500 times 150 is a lot. If it's 1, it's still 150. It's 10. It just keeps going up. Once you break 100, you get 150,000. It just keeps growing. And so even on a shitty archives we have, you're going to do at least 500. Okay, on SoundCloud, depending on which show we're on, between 500 and 2 million. So that's just archives alone. Live shows always. I've been doing this. I have a big audience myself. I've been doing it for about 25 years. And I started out in ufology, and I built a large audience in ufology. I have about 7 million followers, and about 4 million listen to my UFO Undercover every Wednesday. But the show's been around for a long time, and I do crazy shit which keeps people listening. And I do challenge a lot of people. So if I hear a bunch of bullshit, I'm going to challenge them. I get letters every now and then. You got too nice lately. You're mellow in your old age. I said, just don't worry about my old age. You worry about your own damn old age. I said, when I hear something I don't like, I'll say something. But I've been busy with other projects. So, like for you, the best thing is to do is just give them that teaser. It's like a hook. It's like a little baited hook. Because really, that's the worst thing an author can do is talk too much about the book itself. You can kind of talk about it. You can talk about the illustrations in it and stuff like that. You throw the teaser in there. Like, if it's a few thousand words, you might want to put 2 teasers in there, but you really don't want to do any more than that, because if you go too far, they put it together and they figure out what the plot is. And once you know what the plot is, you're not buying the book. You're just going to move on.
Right.
I can't tell you how many movies I didn't watch because I watched the trailer. Over the years, I've learned if the trailer's this long, it's all kind of shit in it, that's a whole movie right there. And almost every time I go watch it, it's a whole damn movie. It's just not worth it.
Oh yeah, I'll stop halfway through the trailer.
Yeah,
if I'm watching it, I pause. It's like, I don't want to see this because I want to go see the movie.
It's just a waste of your time. So, I've been dealing. I can't tell you I've lost count, but let me think. I personally do about 200 authors a year over 25 years. The network does about 500 a year, every year for the last 25 years. I have 3 hosts that only do authors. They do nothing else. And then I'm interested in anything. They work with different publishing companies. That's why I've been bringing John. That's why I wanted to be here, because I want our host to know that there's a new source of authors. Because they do a lot of big name publishing companies, and how can I say this nicely? The quality we've been getting lately is lacking at best. It seems like that for every 10 people, they said this, there's one good author. The rest of them are they're not junk authors, but they're not going anywhere authors. Mm-hmm. It's people they picked up for fillers. I've learned a lot of times, unfortunately, they're like everybody else, they have to produce regular material. Well, if you don't have great authors all the time, you've got to fill the spots regardless. So they'll downgrade what they're looking for and stuff like that. So, but everybody I've met here seems like y'all got your stuff together. It's a really good group, well-educated group in what they're doing. So it makes me feel better. So how's everybody been treating? Everybody's treating you good?
Amazing. The
group of people, huh?
The host, everybody's working on behind the scenes, and they're all amazing, good people, over the top kind of in some ways.
Did Joni call you to tell you won?
Yes, I was in IKEA. I was remodeling my kitchen with my wife. We were going through all the big maze that is IKEA, and she called me, and then I said, "Honey, go pick some stuff out. I have to go sit in the corner and talk about this." And yeah, it was a pretty amazing shot.
Several artists said they didn't believe her.
Well, at first I was a little. Well, I mean, I don't know why someone would prank me with this. So I kind of believed it, but
So I asked these questions because John and I argued with John for a year about this. I used to tell John all the time, John, you're full of shit. You're wasting my time. Nothing's free. You're gonna have to pay something somewhere along the line. I don't believe you because I didn't know him at the time. We were talking like 6-7 years ago, and he's like, no, John, I'm telling you, it's blind judge. I said, I don't believe you, John. Nothing's blind judge. I said, what are they slipping me like $500 for each judge or something so they can get this story in there? I mean, I work with a lot of publishing companies, and there's a lot of bullshit that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen publishers take people to somebody dropped $5,000 to them, and they'll go ahead and publish their book, and which is stupid, but they still do it. So I kept asking, I said, what do you mean it's free? There's nothing. He said, it's blind judge. So they submit them. He said, we don't know what color they are, what sex they are. All we know is the story. He said, we send the story to the judges. The judges. They don't agree. We send the thing back. Thank you. Submit again. He said, that's it. He said, no criticism, no nothing. Just submit again.
Yeah.
And which is a great thing. That's the best way to do it. And he said, then people resubmit. And I said, so how's it work? He said, oh, well, we fly them out. He said, we give them money. We fly them out. We let their families come out. He said, we put them up in a hotel, and then we take them to a gala, and we see who's going to be number one, blah, blah, blah. He goes on. And the whole time I'm like, you're full of it, John. Nobody does that. Nobody's doing anything for free. I said, just tell me what the bottom line is, and we'll go on, right? He's like, Joe, I'm telling you, man, this is how it is. So I called a couple of my friends out here in LA that do work in the business, and I said, who is John Goodman? And the guy said, oh, he goes on. And one of my friends was going on and on about it. I'm like, really? He's really like that? He said, Joe, I lied to you? I'm like, no. Talked to a few other people, and it really sounded like it was legit. So I invited him and Emily on, and we got to talking, and it was exactly what they said it was. And I wanted to come out this year because I still get a lot of flack when they're on about it can't be that way. That's why I always ask everybody that sits in that chair how it was for y'all, because it is free.
Yeah,
you submit as blind judge. They fly you out on their ticket. They put you up in a hotel. They bring you to a gala in Hollywood, no less. You're a star out here, man.
Yeah.
You see your name out there.
It's a lot of fun. It's the feeling, the treatment.
Out. And there's a lot of energy here. There's a lot of good energy, a lot of good stuff going on. So I was really surprised, and it does seem to be exactly what it is. So you've been happy with everything here. Everything's going good.
Oh yes, it's been amazing. Like I said, they're all very friendly, very.
Other than the $30 drinks.
Well, yeah, so you can pay for our own drinks. That's it. But no, everybody's been very nice, very open and genuine. And I really feel like they care. They care that that we won, and it's special, and they're really doing a good job making us feel that way.
I gotta say, I've been quite surprised by the judges, how interested they are in the winners, and how willing they are to help y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of these guys are pretty big authors, and pretty big money behind them too. And for them to, I know a lot of authors, and I know some that are very willing to help, and some that are like, I ain't messing with that little guy. I said, well, you were a little guy one time. Oh, well, I'm not now, am I? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, but how did you get started? Somebody helped you, didn't they? Well, yes. Well, why don't you? Well, I don't want to help anybody. But this group does. They're all legit. They all want to be involved. And the best part about it is I noticed, like last night, they were buying stories last night and artwork last night between each other. Not from the winners yet, but from other people that are here. And I was surprised by that. They were wheeling deal. We were all sitting in the bar out in the back last night talking about it. And they're looking into the game and stuff and move forward. I like that. They're buying stories, they're buying stuff. Well, I think you was talking to somebody about buying one, weren't you? Or was it? I might be getting confused. Maybe somebody looks like you.
It might be someone looks like me. Yeah, I haven't talked specifically about that.
But
I'm definitely collecting names, and I will be. I will be sending things out saying, "Hey, remember me?"
And they just put you on a footing with them, so they will be willing to talk to you. When you're doing new stories, they're going to probably want to see it. If you send them to them, and they like them, they may not like them. But there's a lot of big names here. We got Star Trek authors, we got Doom authors, we got in-game authors. There's a lot of big names.
Kevin Jansen bought one of my stories a long time ago. So, yeah, it's
just a good place to be. If I was a writer, this is where I want to be. It's blind. I like the fact that it's blind judge. Mm-hmm. This is the only place I know that does that. I've talked to many companies, and they're like, "Oh, well, blind judge, what are you talking about? We're not doing that. We want them to know who you Why? I said, blind judges is the way to do it. I said, makes sense to me, because there's no prejudgments about anybody.
Right.
Because some of the old timers might have issues with certain types of people, so I think it's better this way.
Definitely.
It's less likely. Before I let you get up, though, I got a couple questions on something else. I've been talking with a lot of the authors about the way the industry is changing, how we're having to bring America up to speed on different sexes, different races, and stuff like that. And we were talking about character changes. So we would like talk about Superman being gay, Thor being a woman. So my question's always been is why don't we develop new characters? So if you watch the what's his name? Hell, now I can't forget the damn movie's name. The one that was made, they were in Africa. What is his name? Black Panther. The movie's big success. So I don't understand why screw with a character that's already successful. Because any way they do it, they're going to isolate half the audience. It doesn't matter what they do. And Marvel found this out, so I don't know why they're still screwing around with it. It cost them a lot of money in their last movie. And I'm kind of wondering why they do it. DC has been successful in their TV shows, but not too much in their movies. Because they want to make their Superman back as a buy. And already half the fans have already written into they're not going to watch. Half the fans for Thor said they're not going to watch. What was funny, though, was the females that said they weren't going to watch. I said, well, wait, it's going to be a female Thor. Nope, don't want to hear it, don't want to see it. I asked one of my friends, she's a girl, I said, why? She says, because Chris, what's her name, was hot. I was like, I can't say this woman's hot, Joe. I started laughing. But she had a point. The lady who became the queen that was in the movie, she was one of the Valkyries, and she's now the queen of Asgard. There you go. You've got somebody right there. She's a strong actress. She's a strong role model. Why not use it?
Well, comic books have a history of that. So the female Thor, that's something that was done a long time ago in the comic books themselves. They're just sort of bringing it to the screen. And I think there's a certain power in taking a character that's iconic and then making it okay to talk about these other things, to bring this new light to it. It shows a certain power of how we can do some change. I'm all for it in a way. And as long as they're not making bad stories, as long as they're not making it silly.
Well, sometimes they choose bad actors. Like Thor, they use a girl from the first Thor. Mm-hmm. Well, first off, she's not that great of an actress, and she's a mousy little thing. I'm like, that's why I said they should have used the Valkyrie girl. I mean, she would have been a better choice. It's one of those things. That I'm like, I'm not against the idea because it's about the Hammer. The Hammer picks who it wants to go to.
Right.
And they already showed that when Captain America picked up the hammer and started using it. That was great. Now, I like the black actor who took over the role as Captain America, but unfortunately, the country don't. They didn't make any money with the movie, and it's a bad movie. The guys in Alta Carby does a fabulous job in Alta Carby. It's a great series. I tell people all the time not to watch it because it's not for kids. There's a lot of nudity in it, but it's a great movie. It's about how you're living on through a chip in your head. It just carries when you die, they just put it in another person or a host body or something. So it's a good series. It only lasted 2 years on Netflix, but nothing lasts more than 2 years on Netflix because I found out from James Reese on Netflix. What they do is whenever the audience peaks, the show gets canceled. So they're not really kidding. Even if it's got 5 million viewers, when it peaks, you're out of here.
Go on when you're on top.
Their goal is to get up to like 400 or 500 million plays at $10, $15 each to make it bang. You make $7 million. So that's what they're after, and I can understand that. But and like I said, I like the guy that played Captain America this time. But I was reading an article out of the Times. And they're talking about, well, this would have never happened in the 1940s. They would have never done this with a black man, which is true, but it really doesn't matter because this is a comic. This is not real life. This is showing that, look, we need to change the way we view things. It's going to be an uphill fight, Joe. It really is. And somebody asked me, well, why are you so worried, Joe? You got everybody and mom on your network, which is true. I've got gays, straight. I've got Canadians, redheads. I have blondes, brunettes. God, you name it. We represent every political variety, every religious variety. And I did that on purpose because most of the networks I've dealt with personally are whatever the owner is what they are. Right. That's just the way they lay it out. And that's just boring. Why would you want to listen to that network? Besides that, you're not going to be getting into places that find it offensive. We would have never got into the Middle East if I wouldn't have had it abroad. We would have never done it. I have a Muslim host, actually 2 Muslim hosts. So they might not like the station per se because of something else, but when they see these hosts, they're fine with it. They're like, well, yeah, I got something to view and listen to. I don't have to listen to the rest of these crazies because they got this over here.
Mhm.
And we intentionally did this because we want a wide variety of listeners. It's the reason I went from UFO Paranormal to United Public, because I peaked. UFO Paranormal peaked at around 5 million, and it wasn't growing anymore. 2 years, it was dead flat. So I got with my station manager and said, what are we going to do? And we came up with United Public Radio. We redesigned it, rebranded everything, and went to 14 million now. I couldn't get congressmen, I couldn't get any politicians on, because as soon as they heard the word UFO or paranormal, they went out of here.
Right.
Any legitimate guest with any reputation didn't want to come on because of that. So now it's United Public. We still own UFO Paranormal Radio. It is part of the network, but when we bring in anybody else, they come on United Public, and they're fine with that.
Mhm.
When I just recently had a senator on just recently, it was only like an 8-minute interview, but he said, I really like you, Joe, but I can only give you 8 minutes. I was like, whatever, man. So I'm good. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, I don't know exactly. So that's something you can think about when you're writing your characters. I don't know how it's going to come out in different ways, but I know it's a weird thing. I was talking with Carl Markson just recently, and he was talking about, he wrote a book with all these superheroes, right? And he said, well, I'm just writing it for myself. It's never going to sell. It sold 100,000 copies so far. And it's steadily growing.
Mhm.
But he said, and Marvel may buy it from him, or DC may buy it, because, DC Legends has already done all of this.
Mhm.
DC Legends have black, whites, they have gay couples, they got a lesbian couple that's married, so somehow they're on season 7, so it's been a successful show. People aren't really caring. But then if you go flip over to Doctor Who with the new female doctor, it's been steadily plummeting. And it's not because she's not a good actress. I've watched her in the church. She's a good actress. It's just poor shit writing, I guess. Or the fans just are not willing to accept a female in their role, which I'm not sure which one it is, but it's got to do with something. So this is her last year. One more thing, and I'm going to get you out of here so I can get this gentleman on right here.
Sure.
For young upcoming authors, what would you be the best piece of advice you could tell them to get started in this field? Because there's a lot of people who want to write, but don't feel like they can. Like me, I can't write. I already know that. There's nothing that's going to ever change the way that goes. But I'm also older, and I know what my limitations are. But for the Z-Gens and the millennials, what would you tell them?
I'd say don't just want to write.
Right.
Just write, keep writing, write every day, and send out, try to sell what you write, and just keep going and persevere.
Don't be scared to try a new thing, huh?
Exactly, yeah. Just keep doing it. Do whatever you want, write what you want, and just do it every day.
Oh, I push people. Oh, let me ask you this before you. Did you ever take the author's course at Writers of the Future?
The author's course.
They have a writer's course on there. It's a damn good one too.
I've done some of the online seminars there, so maybe.
Well, I've listened to like the videos with Scott Card and a few others. I've actually taken the course because I wanted to see how it worked out, and it did help me some. My problem's always been we've got 3 books outlined, okay, and there's a lot of data there, but it's just what it is. It's more research. I can't do the filler stuff, so there's a lot of research in this because we've got like 15 years of research for this, but I can't. So I could tell you what it is, and I could do it like as a documentary, but it'll be boring. I'm not the guy who can say I was walking down the street looking at the duck flying across there as the sun. I just don't have that kind of abilities.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to even try to lie about it because it's just not, my imagination doesn't work that way. I wish it did, but it just doesn't. But I'm glad you said that because people need to try and keep trying.
Well, yeah, and if you don't have it, you don't think you have it, but you do it every day, you can build muscle.
Yeah.
You can get that skill.
Emily keeps threatening my life, so she tells me, "Oh, just sit there and I'll edit it for you." I'm like, Emily, I'm never writing anything that you're going to get to look at. You can forget it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I said, I'll do an audio book for you, but I just can't. I'm just not a writer. I've tried a few times over the years. I get going and I get distracted. Besides an ADD, Arthur shouldn't be like that. Let someone clean on the wall, I'll be distracted for the next 15 minutes. But man, I appreciate you coming up tonight and hanging out. I'm gonna get you off here in just a second. Eric, it's great having you on tonight. Remember, we will get y'all in for the real shows coming up, so you can really get out there. Anything that you would like if you want to put a book up or you want to put artwork up or something, you can send it to us and we can make it. We can put up like the covers and stuff like that.
Okay.
We do PowerPoints for different guests, so we have those abilities. These days we can post anything and you'll be able to see it, so you'll be able to read it or talk to us and point it out to us. But in your books, I don't really want to do that because that's basically giving the book away. Or I'll tell you what a very famous a writer just did recently. We put his covers up, and we opened his book up to one page, and he circled a paragraph in it, and that was his teaser. It was a great teaser. Even I went and bought the damn book. It was a great way of doing it because they got to read it for themselves, and you could see from the listening audience because they immediately phone lines lit up, and you're like, "Oh man, this is just great." Can you tell us what? I'm like, "Shh," because you can see me. I'm going, "Shh," because you can see me too while we're on there.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, don't tell him anymore. You got a book now. And he told me he had really good book sales after that. But I always tell people, I have no idea what you're going to get. 0 to 100,000. That's what we're sitting right now. But again, Eric, thanks for hanging out with
Sure,
us.
thank
and
you.
We'll get this wrapped up. Right now, let's hit the magic button.